Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Fishers Police Department. This has been a long time coming. It's appropriate today that we tear down the veil behind who is Tom Britt, and we're doing that in the appropriate location, which is the Fishers Police Department in an interrogation room. So I brought a couple items, Tom.
Yeah.
Here's some Kleenexes in case things get real.
Yeah, I'll just keep one handy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I do have we've done quite a bit of research about you, and this can really go one of two ways, Tom. If you're honest and candid about your background, I think things can go very well. If you don't, things can go a different route. So, are you prepared for this conversation, Tom?
I'm prepared for it, yes.
So, I want to start with when I first heard your name. I was an intern at the city of Fishers, and there was all this scuttlebutt about us wanting to annex this thing called Geist. And there was all this drama and this lead up to it. And all of a sudden, there's this Tom Britt name being thrown out there. And it wasn't in a positive light around City Hall in any way, shape, or form.
It still isn't.
Yeah, well, depending on the day.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you are connected. I mean, your name is synonymous with Geist. How did that come to be?
Well, I moved to Geist in '98, and funny story is when I moved to Geist, I didn't really know where Geist was. I knew whereabouts it was, but I'd never even seen the lake before. And I bought a house in the south side, and I was talking to a neighbor after I was mowing my grass one day, and I said, "How far away are we from the lake?" He's like, "You don't know where the lake is?" I said, "No." So I was in the Lawrence side, just right inside the Lawrence line.
We refer to that as south side.
The south side?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the south side, I was right on the south side line.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, just take Carroll Road instead of going across 82nd Street to work tomorrow, and you'll see it." So I saw it for the first time in '98, like May of '98. I never will forget crossing that bridge for the first time. They were building the yacht club at the time. And I was like, holy, you know what? I can't believe I live here. This is so cool.
Because back in '98, Geist, as I know it today, is not what it was in '98, right?
No. They were still building out Admirals back then. Admirals Pool was still going, which is in the Admirals Bay community. So it was very different than it is now. And frankly, Fishers was very different. Fishers was still, a Shell station and McDonald's for the most part in '98. Yeah. I mean, it was starting to come along, but we never went to Fishers.
So what was the culture of Geist at that time? Like, what was it like to live in that area if you were a resident back in the '90s?
It was very residential. It was kind of, everybody referred to it kind of as like a getaway. Geist was a getaway. When I bought my house, the real estate agent took me to homes over by Castleton because that's where my office was. That's where I wanted to live, was close to the office. Yeah. And when he drove me to Geist, I said, "Where are you taking me?" Because I've been in a car for like 15 minutes and I still wasn't to this house. He goes, "I'm taking out to Geist." I was like, "Well, where is that?" So it was very kind of remote, very residential. People who lived on the water, enjoyed the water, and it was a lake community. It still is, but back then I think it was more so because that's kind of it was like a retreat to go to Geist.
So you move there, you get involved in the local community, you start to build relationships, and then between 2000 and 2000, was it 2008 we really started the annexation battle? 2005.
Thanksgiving week.
So that for the 5 years in between, that's just you doing your business.
Well, I started the magazine. I started the Geist newsletter back in the day, and I started in '04.
Okay.
And it was April of '04. So I just started the newsletter, and the first issue only went to the south side.
Oh, really? Didn't even come up into this area. Okay.
Went to 2,400 homes around Geist Harbors. And as I kept doing it, I had more neighborhoods wanting to get it.
Yeah, right.
And the irony is the Postal Service started their Everdoor Direct Mail campaign, the ability to mail to carrier routes, in May of '04.
Okay.
So when I started my newsletter and they started the Everdoor Direct Mail campaign fees, that's when I went from 2,500 to like 10,000 homes over the course of about 6 months. I started buying carrier routes instead of mailing them to homes. It was actually cheaper to mail it that way, and I could hit more homes. And the advertisers loved being in front of more people, so I just kept expanding it. So that's kind of how, the newsletter became quickly not the voice of Geist, but it became kind of that platform.
It was a
that everybody
unifier,
got.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it gave it an identity.
It gave us an identity. We had our own newsletter. We had our own magazine.
Right.
And people love that, and that's kind of how I got segued into this annexation.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving weekend.
It was the
all
Monday
hell
before
breaks
Thanksgiving, the Monday of that
Okay.
week.
So we announce, and by we I mean City of Fishers.
The intern, Scott
The
Fadness.
intern, this was all me. So the City of Fishers, at the time the town of Fishers, decides we're going to annex.
Yeah.
Why do you decide to become a key person in the opposition to that initiative?
I didn't make that decision. Honestly, I got caught in a place where everybody was contacting me because I was the only name everybody had on our coffee table.
Right.
There was no mayor. There still isn't.
Yeah.
Never will be.
Right. Yeah, I know, it's hard. That's what your grand plan really was, wasn't it, Tom?
Exactly, become mayor of Germantown. But there wasn't anybody, and so people were, so on that Monday when that announcement was made, I never will forget it happened like over the lunch hour. I think they did a press conference like at noon or 11 o'clock, and so on the news they were talking about this annexation of Geist, and it was Gary Huff and
Scott Faultless.
Scott Faultless was behind him, and the whole cast of characters, and they talked about this Geist annexation plan. Well, honestly, I didn't know what annexation was. At the time, I didn't know what it even meant. I was
Really?
like, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
And so people are calling me, want to know what it means, and what's that mean to us, and what's going to happen. And I don't know. And so I started having attorneys call me, like Steve Buckman or
Bushman, yeah.
And he's at the time, he was kind of the guy you would go to when you're getting annexed. He was the guy you hired, right? He was calling, telling me what it meant. And so what happened was I called the high school, HSE, and I said, hey, can I get a school to put together just a meeting of some sort of all these residents to talk about the annexation?
Yeah.
And this is like right before Thanksgiving break. And they said, yeah, next week you can get, I think it's intermediate school.
Okay.
And we got the auditorium, and they didn't charge us for it because it was a community event. And so I just started putting the word out through my email blast, hey, we're going to have a meeting. I don't know what it's going to be about. I had no idea it was going to be.
So it was like, it could have been literally a public information meeting.
It's all it was.
Okay.
And I said, we'll get Bushman, hey, Bushman, you want to talk at this and just tell us what annexation is, the process. Sure, I'll come and do it because he's going to hustle some work.
Sure.
And I got another guy calling me saying, hey, I'll come and talk about a town that was annexed that I was a part of. And so basically I had this rough agenda we kind of put together.
Yeah.
There was no organization
So
to
this
it
was
at all.
pre-Geist United opposition.
This was the formation of it.
Okay.
And it happened the week after Thanksgiving. We wanted to get it done before Christmas because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know the timeline meant it was going to happen next month or 2 weeks or 2 years. We didn't know. And so at that meeting, we had over 200 people show up. I want to say 250 or so.
Yeah.
And since I was the one that called the meeting, I stood up and kind of emceed the event. And we had the guys talk. And when it was over, we all kind of looked at each other. And a lot of the people had kind of come to the front and we kind of formed like this circle. And I said, okay, if anybody wants to get together afterwards and form a committee, because by this time I kind of got I could smell the tea leaves.
People weren't thrilled.
They weren't real happy.
Yeah, right.
But again, I was trying to be like, let's keep this civil here and let's just organize and let's get a group together that we could at least kind of take it to the next level and at least get organized. And that's how the GOO started.
Now, is this when you met Pete Peterson?
No.
Okay.
Pete came about a year later.
Okay.
So the first cast of characters was just that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and nothing against people. I think people had all the right intentions,
Sure.
but there wasn't a really good leadership team in place. And I stayed involved because I just wanted, to me, this was content for our magazine.
Oh, yeah. Controversy is content.
It's great. But I was staying involved because I just want to make sure that the best thing was going to happen for Geist.
Right.
And if that best thing meant that we had to go form our own town, then so be it.
Right.
If the best thing was to work some deal with the city, so be it.
Yeah.
And so Pete entered the picture probably about 6 to 9 months into the GUO.
Okay.
And Pete came to a meeting and quickly rose in the ranks from...
Because he's so quiet?
He's very quiet. He was real shy. And he sat in the hallway the first 2 meetings. But no, he quickly rose in ranks because he was level-headed. He saw this thing pragmatically. He didn't see this thing as an emotional thing. And we needed more of that. And so that's how he rose in ranks. And everybody fell in line with him. I mean, he was a great unifier of the group.
So annexation kind of propels you and your ability to have a narrative around Geist in a significant manner through that whole process. And that process was lengthy. I mean, I remember, heck, I probably had 3 titles in the time frame that thing was being ironed out. But all of a sudden, you know, Geist is now a part of Fishers. And we get into kind of the second chapter of at least my experience with you and Geist. And that was, for lack of a better term, reconciliation over the last, I would say from 2010, 11, 12, 13 was all about trying to figure out how to make Fishers and Geist coincide. And can you talk about kind of your thoughts on that, where maybe we did some things right collectively as a group, 2 parties, but also maybe did some things that we could have done better?
Well, so 2010 is when...
It was effective.
It was effective, and but it was funny. Even though the GOO quote lost, okay, if you look at it as a scoreboard, we didn't win, because our goal to become a town, which was a way to circumvent the annexation, got shot down by the first in time, and Hamilton County judge ruled, and that was it. And I think. There was some sore feelings, I think, for a year or 2. Just that everybody felt like we lost. But I think what Pete was able to do, and what we tried to do with everybody, was actually we won. If you think about it, guys, your taxes didn't go up. The 1% property tax cap that Mitch Daniels put in place made the whole thing a moot point, right? It was a non-issue now. So now the only thing you're arguing about is, well, they handled it wrong to begin with. Yeah, you know, they changed it from an annexation plan to a Geist unification plan. Good luck with that. It's like me giving you cyanide. Say, oh, no, it's a sweet tart. It's like, no, you told me it's cyanide. I'm never going to take that.
Sounds better, though.
Sounds better. And I think from the city's perspective, so you were elected what year was that?
I was elected in 14. So 14. I was town manager. I became town manager in 2011, I believe. So when you and I crossed paths again is when, per the annexation, we had this funding available to start investing in the area, whether that's a fire station. And then there was a lump of money that was left kind of for Geist residents to decide where they wanted to deploy that money. That's where we started bringing Geist people into City Hall and starting this kind of formal discussion. And you remember those early...
Lowering the moat and letting them come in
there were
for the first
some early
time.
spirited discussions where people needed to vent about just not being happy with the whole situation. And we had to get through that. But, you know, when I started getting involved in the reconciliation period, one of the things that concerned me is that an unintended consequence of the Geist annexation was the loss a little bit of the Geist identity and kind of the mojo of what Geist is. And you and I have had that conversation. And that's part of the status of where we are today is like, what do you think some of the concerns you have as a resident, as a leader out in that area? What are the things that worry you about the current state of the Geist area today?
Well, I guess to recap what you were talking about as far as reconciliation, I felt like the city, the eventual city, you guys did what you said you were going to do. You stayed the course and you let people vent, and I think they just need to get that off their chest and move on. And I think that's happened.
I think so.
As far as going forward, I mean, what concerns me? I mean, frankly, it concerns everybody. Is just the age of that community. You know, those first homes were built. Cardinal Woods was the first development, which is off of Carroll Road. They were built in the mid-'70s. They're all on septics. You've got Lux Haven at the north end of the lake, which those septics are failing, and you want to know why there's E. coli breakouts up there. Just look up people flushing their toilets. halfway up the lake. You've got a reservoir that's over 70 years old. Sediment has wreaked havoc on it. It will continue to do so. And then you've got all these homes, which on the south end of the lake, Feather Cove 1 and Masthead 1 were developed in the late 70s, early, like 80, 82.
Yeah.
Homerama was back in Feather Cove 1. And Rob Bussell can tell you better than I, those homes were built a long time ago. Those homes are 40 years old.
Right.
And so the age of the community and the age of the lake is just the continual upkeep of it. So, Geist Park, awesome, right? Awesome resource. Cambridge development still being developed in the north end, but that's has slowed down dramatically over the last 5 to 10 years. And you look at what's left on the south side of Geist, in this sink basin that's filling up with sediment, and you look at the north end of the lake where there's still some development, we're almost done now, is now how do we take care of this?
Right.
And the natural, there's a couple natural obstacles, right? One is it's a 6 mile long reservoir. So we're not talking about something you can just go in and fix in a summer. This is going to be an ongoing concern.
Yeah.
The second barrier is the fact you've got this county line right in the middle of it. So you've got Indianapolis responsible on the south end, you've got Fishers responsible on the north end, you got Citizens who actually owns the dang thing.
And you have a little bit of Hancock County. I mean, it's a jurisdictional nightmare.
It is. And so all those things kind of play into, okay, we're all part of this big happy family now, but who's going to take care of this thing? Because we don't want this thing going south. And that's what keeps me up at night.
What about the sense of community out there? Is it still as strong as it was in the 90s when it was a close knit, there was nothing else around it? Do you still feel that way about that area?
I wish I could say yeah, but I don't think it's the same. I think it's still close knit. I think people still have that natural I'm a Geist resident feel, but it's different now. There's a lot more people out there. Traffic's really picked up significantly. The people that built those homes have now retired, or now they got young families coming in. We have this second birth of Geist, and they're remodeling these homes and things, and so they're new to the area as well, and they don't have the legacy that those original people had. So I'd say it's not the same that it was, but I think as it evolves and as we go forward, I think the opportunity is when, like what you guys are doing, what Fishers is doing with the Parks Department, working with McCordsville, working with Fortville, the trail systems, the interconnectivity, and just, Fall Creek Road getting upgraded a few years ago, the trails you guys have put in, McCordsville's putting in trails like crazy. Fortville has undergone a significant 180 in the last 5 years. We just had dinner there last night, and the downtown was busy. I had to park on a side street.
Crazy. Yeah.
On a Thursday night.
So Tom, if you were mayor of Germantown and you were looking,
God, I aspire to it every day.
if you could
a sunken town,
focus on one key thing out there going forward, what would it be?
And I had unlimited resources.
Well, let's start there.
I had the tax base from Fishers now.
Yeah. Let's talk realistically. What would you do? What's attainable and doable that you would be pursuing?
What I would pursue is 9 months of a year dredging. I'd be dredging every damn day if I had my say of it. Because to me, the health of that lake just has a huge impact on that entire area. It's not just people on the water; it's people that live off the water. I know there's been some talk, and there's been some petitions flying around about a
conservancy
district, and I think as the thing ages, as the lake ages, and people start seeing more and more weeds coming out of the water, and less areas where they can boat. That's going to get their attention. Not that it hasn't already, but I think if you had dredging going on, it would really help.
Yeah,
it would help accomplish a lot of things, because it's kind of like when you live in a neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood, the grass is greener than the next guy, right? And it's all finely manicured, and everybody's taking care of their shrubs, and
Peer
and
pressure.
they're painted.
Yeah.
So there's peer pressure to live up to that.
And pride.
And pride. So if you see citizens or the city, or you see a dredger out there, whoever paid for it,
Right.
it's like, okay, it's time to raise our game here.
Yeah,
I want to update my dock, or I got to get a better boat, or I'm going to put that new deck on my house because they're making an investment in this lake. So I think that if I had to do one thing, that would be it.
Well, I think you're going to play an important role in this narrative on the Conservancy District. I mean, there's been a lot of effort underway on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will be the next logical chapter that we discuss going forward about that asset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that conversation is already occurring to some degree. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm really just the warm-up act. In fact, there are some detectives that need to speak with you about an unfortunate incident with a rubber chicken and some rope and shaving cream. I don't know exactly what happened, Tom, but
do you have the key for this thing?
No, I don't
foot?
actually. No.
Really like getting shackled from this
but
table.
I think they adhere to all the common practices for interrogating, and I think it'll be fine.
Waterboarding is not off the table.
Depends. Depends on how easily you give up the information. So,
well, no, I just got to say, I think you've done a stellar job as mayor, and I'm not stroking you because you're sitting here. I would say that behind your back
because you're jammed up.
I'm jammed up, and I'd like to get this shackle off my leg.
Yeah.
But no, you've done a great job. I think what happened from a Geist perspective is the attention went off of the annexation, and Fishers filled the air in this vacuum with all the progress that's happened over the last. And when you talk about when you ran for mayor, you talked about giving the city a sense of place.
Right.
And back then, we're like, what's that mean? We're going to put sculptures downtown. We're going to put park benches there. What's that mean?
Yeah.
And I think when you come downtown now, it's like, I get it.
Well, and what's interesting about that, Tom, is Geist had a sense of place. It still does. When I'm out there, I think it has a distinct sense of place, but those things need constant care and feeding. Mm-hmm. And you and I and Geist residents, we need to remain vigilant as to what needs to be done, what needs to be maintained, what needs to be reinvested in to ensure that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, it will remain an attractive place to want to live. The things we do today should be about 20 years from now, not about tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I think Geist, to your point, when we all became one, I think focus got shifted a little bit, or I don't even want to say that because we're doing a lot out in the Geist area, but now you're clumped in relative to all the other things going on. So we announced a $160 million project in downtown Fishers. That's going to take away from attention of, hey, we just bought parkland near Geist. Mm-hmm. Well, those two, from a story of a Fishers story, aren't going to be the same.
Not as sexy, yeah.
But I really do believe that we can create this kind of Boulder, Colorado of central Indiana right in the Geist area. I think all the natural elements are there, the vision's there, and we just got to put some of these levers together. But
well, the one question you didn't ask me is, if I was mayor, what would I do for Geist?
Yeah.
Can I ask myself that question?
Yes.
You want to?
Yes, please.
No, I just think one of the things you guys have talked about, but I'd love to see that Geist district become its own identity.
Yeah.
It's on our roundabouts, by the way. Carmel, sorry, but they're the best roundabouts that I've ever seen.
Yeah, they look good.
And that Geist district logo, and I know that Leah and the Parks Department has added that to the trail signage, which is awesome. I know nickel plate in downtown Fishers gets a lot of attention, and it should. I mean, there's a lot of things going there, but I'd like to see maybe this parks be kind of that first chapter in how this Geist district is
So I know
defined.
we're dragging on here, but so when we did the nickel plate district, we kind of made an intentional decision to say this is the heart of downtown Fishers, and anyone who comes here can clearly see that. Where is the concentrate? Where is the heart in your mind?
It's going to be the park.
You think it's the park. You don't think it's Eddie's and the marina. You think it's the park.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think people, the South Side folks, associate to Eddie's and Wolfie's now as the center of Geist.
Yeah.
I think if you look at, I always look at Mama Bear's, which is now Geist Coffee, as a town hall of Geist. But since this is all culminating
Yeah.
And you look at that map that you guys put up on that wall at
Yeah.
the yacht club about the future of Geist Park, and you look at that park and you look at that visually and you say, that is the middle
Yeah.
of Geist. That's the middle of it. That's where everything's going to come into.
Right.
And that's our opportunity as a community to say, yeah, we've had different cocktail coves, right? Had one in
Right.
Diamond Point for years, and we had
Right.
one in Cambridge for years.
Juicebox Cove.
Juicebox
Cocktail
Cove,
Right.
right?
That's where I hang out, Juicebox Cove.
Juicebox Cove, shallow waters. But
Yeah.
if you look just north of that, at that park, that's our opportunity to say this is the heart of Geist.
Yeah.
And I think nothing to take away, nothing from the marina, but I think that mentally is our heart.
Well, and it gives an opportunity for more than just people that live around the lake to believe that that's part of their community, which I think is important.
If you think about it too, how many people now are new to Geist that weren't there during the annexation?
Exactly.
I talk about it with people now. It's like, what are you talking about?
Exactly, and
Yeah,
that's
they
only going
forgot
to grow,
about it.
right? That's only going to grow. You know, I think it's an interesting story. So I invited these developers to come in from all across the country. Urban Land Institute was doing this study for us, and so they came in. They drove all around Fishers with me. These people have developed everywhere in the country. I mean, billions of dollars of real estate development. And I wanted to get an outsider's perspective of what we were missing. Like, what weren't we capitalizing on? I'll never forget, we drove out to Geist Reservoir, and the guy just stopped and said, wait a second, this is in your community? And I said, yeah, I mean, this is part of Fishers. And he goes, well, how are you leveraging this? Like, what development do you have around it? Where are the amazing places to interact? And it was just kind of like this aha moment that, so much that had already been predefined out there and now we're hitting the rewind button a little bit and going, wait a second, this is, we can do better than this. And I think it was a recognition by outsiders to say, this is truly a unique asset to have in your community that isn't going to be everywhere.
Right.
And so I think Fishers does recognize that, and we are starting to invest on the periphery of the lake. You and I and a bunch of people had this meeting where we started saying, we got to get the lake better, we got to get the lake better. Well, one of the things we talked about was, first of all, you got to control what's happening around the lake
Right.
as well. And so I think the purchase of the parkland was an important step in that. Instead of 90 homes, it's parkland. It's those kind of macro level things that we can do to start setting the tone for being able to fix the lake in a sustainable fashion moving forward.
Right.
But
Well, to your point too, if you had family from out of town come here, they'd never been to Fishers before,
Yeah.
right? And you had a weekend with them.
yeah,
You're going to take them out to dinner. You and Anna are going to take them to dinner
yep,
3 times. They're here. You're going to take them Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. One of those, and you want to show them Fishers.
right.
One of those dinners is going to be at Geist.
It should be.
I mean,
It's,
you'd be crazy
yeah,
if you didn't, because
Right.
you want to show them Fishers. You're going to probably take them down the Nickel Plate and go to
Right.
Lovino's and
Right.
have some wine. You're going to go across the street and have some bricks. And you're going
Yeah.
to go wherever. Fort A Ray.
Right.
That's one night, right?
Yeah.
Second night, you're going to go up to, I don't know, Saxony. You're going
Right.
to go over to IKEA, or you're going to go to Topgolf
Right.
and eat, hit
Right.
some balls, right? But that third night, you're going to bring them out to Geist, and you're going to take them to Wolfie's, and they're going to look at that and go, you live here?
Yeah. And that's all in one community.
Right.
That's the part that I think is so unique about what Fishers is today.
Right.
And we just got to figure out how to accentuate those. And plus, the added bonus of going out on the weekends to Geist is the people that rent the pontoons. And when you watch them come into the dock, that's amazing. I've seen so many where it's like, oh, they're coming in hot. Yeah, it's going to get ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. But, well, Tom, thanks for, again, thank you. The detectives are bugging me to,
I appreciate
yeah,
that.
good luck.
I did soil myself when I was sitting here. There's a
hose.
There's a drain
so, yeah,
in the
you'll be
floor,
fine.
so yeah.
All right, Tom. Good
Thanks,
to see you,
man.
man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Thank
the
you, guys.
interrogation.
Absolutely.